you very, very much. I'm really amazed to see how many people are listening today. And usually when I do a presentation, I try to make sure I know my audience very well and I customize my presentation towards my audience needs. In this case, I didn't really feel like I know my audience very well. So I put a few slides and I always give a quick view into what I could tell you, but I really would like you to feel like you can interrupt at any point and ask follow-up questions. And if you have a comment also and you like to add something like, yeah, what is her name? Yasmin did earlier. Please also feel free to interact at any point because I want you to learn as much and take away as much as you can with this time, and you know what you need best. So please feel free to make this your stage also. And now I will try and start sharing my screen. Like this. Okay. So did this work? Can you see the presentation? Just checking here. Can you hear me right now?
Yes.
Yes, yes, everything.
So it's working. You can see the presentation.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, I am a project leader of a project called Zuper-Q, and on this project, we do two things. First and most importantly, we apply everything Julia explained about playful learning on technical education for kids. But there's also a second area of this project that we work with university students who then develop educational content for the kids. So I hope this will go into those questions, how these ideas Julia just explained can be applied actually at a university. So this is a very special project. There are many, many, many very different ways to apply it, but this is just how we do it on my project. So Zuper-Q is developing participative low threshold education on digital technology for kids age 8 to 14. And I say 8 to 14, now it says they're 8 to 18 because officially we do it for our kids 8 to 18. But actually we are most successful with kids under 14. And I guess it's because they don't feel so much ashamed about what they are doing. And when we do hands-on project, everybody can see what is the result. And the older the kids get, the more difficult it becomes for them. And the more they want to succeed the first time they try. So kids who started early on with our project, they also continue to grow with us when they get older. But kids 8 to 14 seem to be having the most fun when they do it the first time. And we are working on 3 youth clubs in Berlin, Neukölln. And we do this in this area of Berlin, which is called Neukölln, because there we have a high rate of child poverty and unemployment youth under 25. And this is why the project is funded by the European Regional Development Fund. And they are trying to encourage education. And the project is currently running and will end of this year. And we have different goals on this project. And first goal is not to impart knowledge and skills regarding technology. It is also a skill, but first skills are actually to grow interest in those topics and to develop a positive self-concept within the kids that they can work with technology so that they will be able in the future to self-educate themselves. And measurements, how we try to reach this is that participation is voluntary and courses are fun, which is a challenge. And also we are constructing products, so you can always see in the end what you did and you have some kind of a symbol of your skill. And another goal that we're trying to achieve is that we want to reduce social barriers, and we do this by building positive relationships of the kids with the university students and staff. So you can see how this goes together with these 4 aspects that Julia just presented. And on this project, we work with methods that are exploration, and exploration is what Julia just called free learning, being creative.
صباح الخير. كيفك أستاذ رائد؟ رمضان كريم وأنتم بخير.
I'm sorry, was there a question or a comment?
No, it is not a question, only someone who opened his mic on it. Go on.
يفضل انك تنهي الميكروفونات مسموحه.
ايش خالد؟
يا ريت لو تقف لكل الميكروفونات الزملاء.
احنا اغلقناها في ميوت اول يعني.
ميوت اول دي.
الصوت يعني دي.
بس يعني انا عامله ميوت اول، لكن مخلي صلاحيه انه حد يفتح المايك لانه بده يسال، لكن بيفتحوا اثناء ذلك. Sorry for interrupting, Jinina. You can complete your presentation. Thank you. I mute you.
Yeah. Yeah. So we do exploration and we also do construction, which I also already mentioned. We do educational games, and all those methods naturally lead to conversations where actually most information is conveyed. And important is that those conversations that go deeper in technology, they develop from questions. So that whoever is asking these questions will actually listen to the answer and be interested at the point that the information is given. And what we try to do never is going into lecture style where one person talks and all the others listen. And those methods are applied on workshops and while we are driving with e-vehicles and when we go on excursions together. And examples for those workshops are 3D printing and building things with electrical circuits, and also game design, and many, many more. Now I would like to invite, this is an example of e-vehicles that we use to attract to our project by the coolness of the e-vehicles and by the urge of the kids to move their bodies. And we use them as a first point of contact with technology, where you can start asking yourself, how does this work? Or if it breaks, how do I fix it? And now I am very happy to say hi to Momo, who is a member of one of the youth centers called Manege, and he will share with you his experience on the project.
مرحبا، السلام عليكم على الجميع. بعرف عن حالي، اسمي محمد معروف. المشروع اللي كانت حكت عنه يانينا بسموه السوبر كيو. المنطقة اللي احنا فيها بسموها حي النويكون ببرلين. هذا المشروع يعني افتتحوه الأولاد بيقدروا يعملوا دفتر ليسوقوا بسكليتات بالكهرباء أو الإي سكوتر اللي بسموها. فأنا بشتغل بالمانيجة، مثلا بسموها النادي بالعربي. شغلي بالموسيقى وبالكهرباء، وبنتعاون مع السوبر كيو، بنشتغل مع بعض، فبنعمل تجربات وهاي القصص يعني. ويعني الصغار والكبار كلنا مكيفين بهاي الشغلة، إنه يصنعوا شيء بإيدين، إنه يعملوا سيارات أو يصنعوا من الخشب أو يطلعوا يعملوا الرياضة بالبسكليتات. فهاي المشروع إنه عم تحكي عنه، فالإكسبيرينس اللي عم نعملها مع الأولاد والأطفال إنه بحاجة لهي الشغلة. فأكثر من هيك إذا عندكم أسئلة أو أي شيء بقدر أجاوبكم فيها. بس
يعني
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry.
بحكي إنه زملائي يعني حلو تسألوا عن المشروع وعن كيف مثلا بخليهم يصمموا الألعاب اللي خاصة فيهم، يصمموا السيارة أو البسكليت أو يعني أي أو آلة موسيقية أو أي إشي. اسألوهم يعني كيف مثلا، على أساس إنه نستفيد. خاصة فرصة إنه في محمد اسمك بحكي بالعربي يعني.
إيه مزبوط.
ففرصة يعني.
إيه مزبوط.
فرصة. فإذا في حد عنده أي سؤال ارفعوا إيديكم، وأكيد جانينا سامحت لنا يعني مدام.
So I can continue?
Sie sagt gerade, wer Fragen hat, kann sie gerne stellen.
Janine, sorry.
The presentation is not ended yet, right? This is just one part of it.
Yes.
But also
I ask if there is any question from مراكز التدريب المهني, from vocational training centers or schools, vocational schools.
يعني دكتورة نهى تكرمتي.
نعم تفضل دكتور محمد.
سلامات أستاذ محمد.
سلام، أهلا وسهلا.
حياك الله. هو سؤالي، أنتم بتعتمدوا على يعني على بروتوتايبس معينة، أنتم بتعملوا ديزاين ولا هو في اوريدي جاهز يعني خلينا نقول الأساس اللي بتعتمدوا عليه في الديزاينز، وبالتالي أنا بإمكاني أصمم منها الديفرنت اكويبمنت اللي أنت حكيت عنهم. يعني في النهاية لو بدنا شيء محدد غير اللي موجود عندكم you can do it or أنا بإمكاني أجمعه من الكومبوننتس اللي أنتم already موجود عندكم. أوكي؟
نعم. عندنا ديزاين مثلا بكونوا خالص مع الزملاء اللي بجهزوها للأولاد الصغار، وفي كمان عندنا شيء جديد يعني باليوم كلوب بالنادي، مطبعة اسمها الدغايدي، إنه بيطبعوا فيها أشياء أي شيء بدهم يصنعوها. فالصغار والكبار بياخذوا الايباد او التليفون مثلا، بيرسموا عليها شغله، وهي المطبعه بتطبع هاي الشغله، يعني لعبه او سياره او اي شيء هن بايدين بيصنعوها او برسموها، وبعدين المطبعه بتطبعها بشكل دغيدي، يعني بشكل حقيقي.
اوكي. طيب كمنتج نهائي يعني ككومبوننتس على هذه، مثلا بدنا سياره كومبوننتس حتى يعني انت عملنا البورد كامل وجهزناه وطبعناه، يعني الكومبوننتس وتثبيته وكذا، يعني انت بتجيبون قطع وتجهز ولا كيف؟
لا، كله صناعه بايدن، يعني مثلا بحطوا لنا الخشب او الكرتون اي شيء، وببلشوا يصنعوا ويرسموا بايدين وتلزيق، يعني اي شيء بدنا الصناعه موجود فيه بالمانيجه بهذا المشروع. يعني TU برلين الجامعه خصص يعني بتبعت اشغال جديده لهي الشغله او ليصنعوا شغلات ثانيه، فالجامعه بتبعت هاي الاشياء.
اوكي جود. اوكي طيب الديزاين يعني بس هو ملاحظه اخيره، يعني الديزاين انه في النهايه بلزم يعني هاردوير، بلزم كنترول، بلزم كنترولر، بلزم كذا، بتعرف كثير من الامور هذه، خاصه نتحدث عن العاب صغار او ما شابه، وحتى لما نروح لمستوى اعلى انه في النهايه ممكن استثمار هذه في اللابس عندنا مثل هيك شغلات. الان
مظبوط.
الان الديزاين للكنترول سيركت بتيجي جاهزه، انت بناء على ديزاين انا بعمل كل شيء ولا كيف يعني هذه الجزئيه؟
بس هاي النقطة على الديزاين والاب ده اسأل بس Janina عشان هي بتعرف البرنامج شو اسمه بالضبط. Janina, fragt genau, wenn wir jetzt zum Beispiel den 3D-Drucker benutzen, wie genau die Seiten, die Apps heißen, ob die schon so fertig kommen oder ob er theoretisch auch mit seinen Apps und seinen Seiten arbeiten könnte, theoretisch mit den 3D-Druckern.
Okay, well, with the 3D printers, we work a lot with a program. It's called Tinkercad. Do you know it?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so we are trying not to work too much instructional with their instruction videos, but we actually, when we start working with the children, they can design their house of their dreams. And they get little challenges at the beginning where they just have to move forms so they can get used to this CAD program.
Oh.
And then they can work themselves up to redesigning existing 3D modules to their own needs, which then we print in the end. And we use very affordable printers by FlashForge. And we are very happy with those. Also, we can film while we are printing, and the kids also like watching how the print is evolving. In the very first workshop that is about 3D printing, we work with 3D printing pencils, because it is a lot to at the same time understand the 3D models and the 3D printer, and in order only to talk about how the 3D printer works, those 3D pencils are very useful. I mean, they don't make the most wonderful products, but if you made something with them, you will be proud anyways. And it is good to see that one layer needs to go on top of the other, and you cannot print in thin air, and you can learn that very well with a 3D pencil. Does this answer your question?
Okay, I think in some way, but I think, and yes, I think I know what the field that you are working on, but I think because our students may they need like this, because our students do their own projects or graduation projects. Sometimes they need like this, but they have to learn how to draw. Firstly, how to draw them 3D, then how to enter it to the program, because we have 3D printers, but in small scale. We have it in our labs, and but they are not working as you discuss in another manner, because really after we have completed the 3D, we have to put our components on it in order to work as a model. So my question was whether the designs, final designs, are done by your or it is already, or we have to use it. We have to build our designs and then to fix our components on the 3D model.
Can you make this question in one sentence maybe, because I don't know. I feel like you asked different things.
Yeah.
You can write it on the. You can write your question in the chat.
Okay, I think maybe
because the language she can understand it by her.
بعرف شو يعني ممكن متابع معي الأخ محمد.
محمد.
متابع معي أنا شو اللي حكيته؟ هي بجوز زي ما قلت
يلا
انه على فكره عندنا احنا بنستخدم حقيقه بجوز اللغه احيانا لا تسعف كثيرا. احنا بنستخدم هذه في مشاريع تخرج طلابنا حقيقه هذه الافكار. فيعني احنا بنبني 3 دي موديل وبنطبعه، موجود عندنا 3 دي برينترز لكن بسمول سكيل يعني. بس في النهايه هذا الموديل في النهايه انا بدي ابنيه بحيث انه يكون بمهمه معينه، بالتالي بدي اثبت عليه كومبوننتس كنترولرز وتشبيكات وما شابه. سؤالي انه في المودلز اللي بتعملوا يعني بافكارهم هذه بيعملوا كل شيء من الاي تو زد، ولا بس هو في النهايه هاو تو برنت 3 دي واحنا وي هاف تو دو اور فاينل ديزاينز؟
لا، هو البرنت هو بيطبع كل شيء مثلا يعني حسب الشركه اللي انت عندك اياها اللي بتطبع اي برنامج يعني معروفه إلها اللي فيك تستخدمها لهي البرنت للدغايدات اوكا اللي بتطبع فيها. مثلا عندنا في اكثر من نوع واكثر من شركه. فكل شركه بتقول لك مثلا انه اي برنامج او اي يعني مخصوص يعني اي وحده احسن شيء لهي البرنت. فيعني اي شيء بتعمله او بترسمه على الايباد او على الكمبيوتر فيك تصنعه بهي الشغله. بس يعني مش انه دائما بيطلع كل شيء تمام او مزبوط، يعني امرار بتطلع صغيره، امرار بتطلع مش 100% مثل انت رسمتها. فاهم علي؟
يا شور اوكي يعني صار بجوز الموضوع اوضح قليلا. يعني ايش على كل حال هو يعني بامكاننا ندخل احنا على الموقع بالتالي يصير
Thank you دكتور محمود.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. We want to benefit from the presentation. Muhammad, you are still with us until Jinina finished her presentation. محمد
انه اذا خلصت
يعني بدك تضلك موجود معنا بعد ما تخلص هي البرزنتيشن.
ما مشكله، انا اذا
خليك موجود لانه في اسئله. شذا حبيبتي بدي استاذن منك تاجل الاسئله. حامد رح ياخذ كل الاسئله منكم بعد ما تنهي.
عفوا عشان عندي محاضره مضطره اترك، بس بدي اسال سؤال صغير يعني هو نفس الطريقه اذا في مجال يعني.
ما مشكله. في بعد شغله كنت اقولها مثلا بهذا المشروع شو سوينا كبشتغل انا
اوكي
small question the
same
question as دكتور مروان.
بس عندي محاضره مداخلته بتطرحي سؤالك. اوكي محمد go on.
I understand Dr. Mahmoud, he said that we work all time with engineers, so they need level of knowledge to work on this device. I just ask about the language. There is some platform more, I think, ready for children, yes? Or they deal with a platform the same as engineer? I think not the same level, yes or not?
No, it's not the same level.
A 3D printer needs a lot of knowledge to work on it. I think it is just for children to give him a little concept about it, not the same work as, for example, engineer for 5th level.
Yes. I would agree on this. Those workshops are meant for children also in order to learn with computer models and to get confident with going into a new foraging technology. And those prints we do, like the results, they are usually fidget spinners, if you know them, or night lights. It's something fun, something to play with, not something on a very high level to be used. So because we like, yeah. And the students we are teaching, they are also not engineering students, but they are students who will be technology teachers at school. So they also try to learn 3D printing on a level that they can work with it and they can finish projects with it. But what I know from studying material science is that CAD programs, when you want to work with them on a high level, you can construct big machines.
Yes, this is our question.
With a lot of components, and we do not do this. And but 3D printing is usually used as a tool for rapid prototyping. So I don't think at all, as far as I have used it, that it goes on a very high level, because where you can level up a lot is CAD printing, CAD construction in the program, but the printing itself usually is rather simple. If you can make your 3D printer run, you will usually be able to print, no?
Yes, this is a question to say the student just need little knowledge. This is my question. Thank you a lot.
Thank you, Shada. Thank you, Shada. Can we complete, Hamid, ask Julia to complete her presentation, and anyone have a question to make it after her presentation?
Okay,
so first of all, I mean that I'm, as a colleague of Janina, Janina actually, one of the, I think, could be interesting question also for our colleague in Palestine is, Janina, have you ever done the effectiveness evaluation for your method among of the students? How did you evaluate the effectiveness of your method about the engagement, involvement of the students and the young people in your method?
By checking if children come back and want to continue working, because they can choose freely if they want to join or not. So we evaluate the effectiveness of our method by their feedback, and usually if we ask them, they always say, yes, it was fun, yes, it was fun. But we know if it was good if they come back and they want to do more.
So you mean that actually it's a kind of the effectiveness evaluation at behavioral level, that you see that even they want to involve again and engage again in your process, and this is it shows that your method is effective enough.
Yes.
Am I right? Yeah. Okay. And what about the change of the knowledge during this process? Have you ever checked whether they learn some things from your method or not?
When they are able to build products, they do learn. So it's very obvious when you are constructing a product and you have a misconception of how electric circuit works, and you want to build a game that is built with electric circuit, that is, and you don't have instruction, like first you do this, then you do that, and you do that, but you have to think yourself, is it important if I put the switch here or there, or can I put it at any point? Every kind of misconception they have about how this works comes up while constructing. So we are sure that we manage their steps of learning without any tests.
So I think that thank you so much for this answer. Yeah, Engineer Jalal, you have your question, please. The floor is for yours.
No, really, I don't have a question, but I want to organize the session. As planned, we have a question after finishing her presentation. So I asked my colleague to let her finish her presentation, and then we go to the discussion and questions.
Okay, yeah. Very well. So on this, I want to thank Momo at first. I think it was apparently very valuable what you said, even though I didn't understand, because questions arise, so that's a good thing. Great that you are with us. And I want to show two things that we came up with for working remotely on this project due to COVID-19. And first, you can see up here are take-at-home bags with experiments and construction material. And we supported those by recording videos so that the kids could see at home how it works. And the advantage for us was that it was scalable, because we were only able to work with very, very few groups, like 2 children at once, and still are. And this was possible with physical distance and with many children at the same time. But the disadvantage was that we had to use more instruction than necessary, and there was less exploration possible, and we also had limited possibilities to assist with difficulties. And that is a very important thing, because when you're learning something that is very new to you, at some point you will get frustrated because things don't work out the way that you expected them to work out. And this is why it is very useful to be there personally with the person who is learning. And older students, of course, can manage those feelings better for themselves. But you can see in every course that students break up your course, sometimes possibly because they feel it's too difficult. So it's always important to manage those steps, even with student education, if you work on projects. And down here, I will show you a short video of me trying to let a bowl, ping pong ball, float in the air, and then asking, okay, how was this done? To show an example of our Insta Live experiments. And every day before we went live on Instagram, we did a little quiz like this. And then when we were live on Instagram, there we gave explanations, and there could be interaction and asking how things are done by the kids too. And the advantage of this in comparison to YouTube videos that already exist on similar topics is that you need a person that you know in order to feel like you are meant with this education, that it is regarding you. And that's why we did this. But the disadvantage is it's depending on a good internet connection, and unfortunately in Germany we don't always have this. We also take great value on participation on this project, and usually we can do this in gatherings. But we also utilize messenger web applications like WhatsApp groups, and we use Instagram votings. And this works well with children who had already learned that their opinion is considered, and who know that this regards their opinion. It doesn't work so well on a new project where you try to reach out to children who have not learned this yet. And now we will get to the topic that seems to be of more interest to you, how we are engaging university students, which are students who are to become teachers in our case, but I think this can also be of interest for engineering students. And students learn more efficient on a real life project due to what we know about constructivist learning, which is the theory that is based on this whole project and also on what Julia explained earlier. And students work on our project as student assistants, but also on project works that they do during their masters and bachelor thesis that they obviously do at the end of their bachelors. This is a picture of one of our student bachelor thesis students and a child, and they're exploring solar power. And this is one example of a project work. It was called 100% Smart Sun by the students, and they were building an upcycling solar module from sponsored solar wafers. And in the background, you can see a picture how they are applying this at the youth center. And they also developed a circuit diagram for a mobile changing station you can see here on the bottom left. And after they constructed this, they did the didactic processing, applying the computer program Fritzling, for their workshop materials, which you can see here. So this is a translation of the electric circuit into something that the children can understand. And you need a deeper understanding of the circuit in order to do the didactic processing. And in the end, they were executing workshops with teenagers, and they could produce their personal mobile changing stations. So it was very successful. That's an interesting project for them. And this is a complex project that was done in one semester. How do we make this kind of projects work? And first thing is they need to identify with the topic, and this means they need to be given a free choice what they want to work on. And second, they need to be motivated to produce a great product. And so it's important that there is a real life application of their product. And when there's a product and a real life application, everything they learn on the project is viable to them, which means when they get the information, their brain can process this as something that is of use to them, not as something that they need to learn. And that's due to constructivism more successful. And then we mentor the groups continuously. We do personal meetings with design thinking methods that I will also talk about. And we do project checking, applying a digital project management tool that I also want to talk about in more detail. And in the end, there stands a public presentation of their results, which can also add on to their motivation. So design thinking methodic, you can see shown here is a product development method, which is aiming on the user interaction with the product. So you need to focus on how your user will use it very much. And this is an approach that is very suitable if you want to design a product that is an educational tech workshop, because there also the user, meaning learner experience, is very important. So first, there are different methods on how to empathize on the audience, meaning that in this case, the students develop an understanding of what the kids at the youth center might need. And then there will be the user needs defined. And this is already going a little bit into the direction of the product, because you will have in mind what kind of solution can be met. And with this specific needs in mind, there will be methods for brainstorming and coming up with creative solutions in order to ideate different product ideas, and then methods to decide which product idea has the most strength. And this idea you prototype, and then you test it. And then you might prototype again in order to reach the best kind of education product that you can build. And in this whole process, all the methods that can be applied are relying on good feedback. So of course it is our teachers' duty to give good feedback, but also peer feedback is very important, because there are more views, and also the students who are not presenting their idea at the moment can learn better when they are involved in also the other groups development processes. And so when we start working with design thinking or with project work in general, first we start with the idea of radical candor and explain this to the students. And I very much like to work with the concepts of Kim Scott. She wrote a book about this. She used to be managing at Apple and Google. And she says it's for giving good feedback, it's very important to care personally and show you care personally that your opponent has a positive development of their skills, and also to challenge directly. What most people do due to Kim Scott is to go to ruinous empathy when they try to give feedback, which is just saying what is good about the project that they see and be silent about any kind of criticism that could be taken negatively. And this doesn't help anybody to get better at their design process, but as everybody is graded at university, students don't want to give negative feedback to anybody in order to help their friends to get good grades. So we have to make very, very clear, if we want to work like this, that we are grading the process of development and not the product. And this is a big challenge, and you can only convince students that you work by this when you are open yourself about any kind of insecurities, and you also take feedback yourself by the students, and you are willing to work productively, because nobody can give the perfect talk or teach on the perfect product like I can, and I never met anybody who could. We all make mistakes, so it's the best way to convince students that they can be open with each other and give radical candor to each other by being open ourselves and asking them to do how you do, as an example. Yeah, we are social learners, and this is part of creating a safe environment for them to be able to learn. And we all learn very well that we have to perform perfectly, and that there is not a lot of room for mistakes. We are taught that at school, and it is inhibiting us when we want to work on hands-on projects and when we want to take on a big project and think big. So yes, I recommend Radical Candor by Kim Scott. And this is now an example of a design thinking method in phase 1. It is an empathy map, and students there did an interview with a kid. She was called Zoe, and asked her about things that are happening right now in COVID-19 times, and listed what she said, what she might think, what she does, and what she feels, and then abstracted what her needs are. And when knowing what her needs are, they abstracted what insights they can take from this in order to design an education project for her that fits her needs. And this is an example for a design thinking method later on in the project developing process. It's a SWOT analysis. Probably all of you know this, but I just mention it because I like it very well. Where it's for the phase when you have different project ideas and you want to know which one should be going into the prototype phase, and you're collecting strengths, weaknesses, chances, and risks that can come along with your product idea. And this is a very useful thing where you can collect the peer feedback of other students, because it's very easy to give feedback on a SWOT analysis basis. So this is the digital project management tool we use in order to make sure that we don't only know what the project students are doing when we actually meet them in person, but we know continuously what they're doing. And it's also, for us teachers, it's limiting the work we have with the project to a certain degree, because there was a question asked earlier about the time that needs to be spent when you do project teaching. It's not face-to-face, you have more student groups and you need to know what they're doing. That is true, it is more work. You need more teacher time in order to help those student groups develop a product. But this project management tools can help with it. And we use a project management tool called Trello, but any other is really fine, where you can structure your working process. And the tool can work as an educational content for the students, because we see that students usually don't use their phones and computers as tools to really organize their life, and they have problems with getting to know new technologies. So making them using this tool can help them being open to more different tools. But also it is very useful as a teaching method, because it helps them structuring their work, and they can learn better how to structure project work. For longer lasting projects that are lasting a year or longer, at some point the overall goal is clear, and you are working many months on trying to make your product become better. And this is when we work with the SCRUM framework. And just like the methods I explained before, it is developed for programming products and groups who develop those programming products. And it can be applied as well if you work on any other kind of product. And the idea behind is that you do a sprint of several weeks where you try to get to some result, and then you do a retrospective where you look at not only how far you have come and how the product works, but also how you work together as a group works, and how you structure your work. And there's like a set of different methods you can use, and it's good to use a different method every time you do the retrospective, because different things can come up when you use a different method. And I also want to mention that there is a study that found that Scrum is a promising approach for exposing students to project managing of undergraduate engineering projects. And so I imagine you want to look into this when you want to do complicated project work with your engineering students. This is now an example of how we work remotely on a retrospective. And in the above picture, you can see us on a video conference, and on the lower picture, you can see a Miro board. Miro is also what Julia talked about when she was asked how to do this. And we like it very much. And there we used a method called retro wedding that I found in the book, but there are also pre-designed methods in Miro that you can use how they are. And you can see those different colors notes. Everybody gets a different color and they write notes about things that come to their mind, to different questions they are asked, and topics that they might want to talk about with the whole group. And then we do dot voting. You can see those different colored circles. Everybody can take these circles and put them to any point and any card that they want to talk about. And on this voting, it was about that there are a few girls who are attending one kind of workshop, and everybody wanted to talk about that. So we did 5 why analysis of this problem in order to get to know what might be the reason, and then we defined actions to take, how to approach this problem to become better. And here I have now a video of a student talking about the usage of Miro board and what she thinks about this.
Janina, kom kentonan.
Oh,
Can you the audio?
جاي الصوت عندكم ولا؟
لا مش سامعينها لأنه هي بدها تعمل إشي هيك بصير معي مرات في المحاضرات بكون حاطة فيديو لطلاب في لازم إشي تعمله يعني.
You need to make reshare again.
Now?
إشي.
دكتورة نوحة خليها تعمل ستوب شيرنج وتعمل ريشير، ولما تعمل شير جديد في ايقونه صغيره تحط عندها صح.
Can you speak for her? Yasmin, Yasmin,
Excuse me, Janina, you can stop sharing and reshare again, but when you make a reshare again, there is a small button. It's like a checkbox. You just need, when you click share again, you need with the share screen, just click on share with sound. Close the share now. Yes, and press again share screen.
Ah, yes, I found it. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Yasmin. Thank you, Yasmin.
Thank you, Yasmin.
Thank
yes.
you.
Now I want to
welcome.
Hello everyone, I'm Rana. I'm a Zuper-Q member. I'm sorry that I can't join this meeting in person, so therefore this video. So for now, I want to introduce you to Miro. Miro is an online board. It's a working tool. When we started to work with Miro, I wasn't really convinced. But by the time, my opinion changed, and I will tell you why. With Miro, it's possible to work in real time. You can use it for meetings and brainstorming. It's very suited for home office, especially in times of Corona. The first steps might seem to be complicated, but by the time you get used to it. The advantage of Miro is that there are so many possibilities of creative working, so that the working process is often very successful. Thank you for your time and have a nice day.
Okay. That was it from my side, and I hope for your questions now.
So thank you so much, Janina. Super interesting and fantastic presentation. And also it's a really multi-language and really interactive presentation, Arabic, English, and German together. And I think that it's a really good, effective way for this international workshop. Thank you so much and really appreciate. I think that one of the important point of your presentation also regarding to our previous presentation from Julia Kleberger and also yesterday presentation, I think that one of the challenge that now we have because of the COVID, that now our professors and teachers, they have to and they are forced to make our class by Zoom. And you know that because of our mindset as a natural, so we got used to, I mean, that the traditional or classical method to engage of students. And now sometimes in this time, by these online tools, sometimes I say that, hey, maybe the students lose their interaction and the social learning. But also by your presentation here as the design thinking and this kind of the digital methods and online methods, I think that we can cope with this problem. This is a really practical solution to engage students throughout these online systems. And it's really, really interesting. But my question, I mean, that regarding to this case, I mean, you showed one video clip that the students explained her ideas. But have you ever made a questionnaire, or sometimes, again, it's a kind of the second time of this effectiveness evaluation. I know that maybe it's boring, but very important point. Have you ever did, because of your project, also you are forced to give this report. What is your solution to make this kind of evaluation out of your method? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very difficult question, because it's very, very many factors that go into it. And actually with this projects that are one semester, we did evaluation, and we had 20 questions that had to be answered anonymously. And we tried to find out what we can do better, but feedback was so positive that we are not sure if they just told us what they thought we wanted to hear. So I am not very trusting those questionnaire evaluations. But the thing is that with the Miro board, for example, and the retrospective, how I introduced it to the project, it was used even when I was on maternity leave, because Miro board, I only introduced a few works before I went into maternity leave, and I introduced it as a suggestion to find out if students do like it or not. And we also did a little feedback round in the end. And I remember Rana, who did this video now, she was not very positive because she had great difficulties how to work with writing things and putting things into places on this whiteboard, because it's not really easy. And when I left for maternity leave for almost 4 months in total, I thought, yeah, they will quit working with this. But actually, the student groups like themselves started working with this and applying this on their teamwork. So I am convinced that they started to think it is a great tool for them.
Thank you. So what about the other? I think that please, if my colleagues in this session, because most of them asked their question during your presentation, but please come up and ask your question directly here before our next presentation by Dr. Mahdavi. Yeah, please come up and okay.
Maybe can I ask
Please.
her a question?
Please.
Because the title, I feel that she saw us how she involved her students in her lectures. Because the title of her presentation is the involvement of the students. But while the pandemic come and you change your lectures from face-to-face to online, you keep the involvement of your students, and how this model, the thinking based, you use it in within the online lectures to involve your students.
Yes, I do. And I mean, because we do project-based learning and we always make student groups and they work on a product that needs to be in the end, they are involved naturally. And I mean, the question is, when you have one group of students presenting on all the other groups of students, how you involve those other groups on giving feedback to this one group. And yes, we work with design thinking methods on this. And but also you have to really think well where the peer feedback is most needed. Because if you do it online, it's a very long process. Like one group is presenting what they do and for example, what SWOT analysis of their product they came up with, and then you want the other students to say something about it, and you have a great risk if you make everybody say something that it takes far too long, or if you don't make everybody say something that nobody says something. You need to motivate your students to give feedback to each other by explaining how important it is and making it a safe room for feedback. And I mean, you can also do this digitally, but I think they will only be convinced of this when you show them like on the work that it actually works like this. And when I talk to the groups independently, I also make sure that they get this before we get into the setting where all the groups are together. And they need to have a good relationship with me or the other teachers also, and they have to know how the grading works in order to be able to come forward. And they need to think, this is an interesting project. I want this to succeed. I want my colleague students to succeed. So if I have an idea of what can be done better, I will help them with my feedback. So I think these are the two conditions that need to be met in order to really work with this design thinking methods also digitally.